Bonus, 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 bonus.
Welcome, everyone, to the Halloween special of the franchisees. I'm pretty excited because, growing up, I think Halloween specials were always the best episodes of, like, The Simpsons or, like, any kind of cartoons. I don't know if you feel similarly, Ben.
I'm not the Ben you might expect.
I'm not the Ben you're looking for. Surprise.
Surprise, it's other Ben.
It's a trick.
It's a trick.
But also a treat.
A treat, yeah. I mean, we're here for both, yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have somewhat tricked me today by luring me into somewhat of a minefield of tricky topics to discuss with these films here.
Oh, interesting.
Honestly.
Exciting.
I mean, we'll find out.
Yes, it's true. Ben T, your co-host that you're familiar with, is not here today. He's dealing with some personal matters, and we wish him the best. But he will be calling in later in the episode. Not actually calling in. We're just gonna splice him in with his takes on any of these movies or any movies he wants to just stay up to date with.
Yeah,
and
I'll be past Ben. He'll be future Ben. So that's
yeah,
good. Yeah.
You're Ben B.
I am a Ben B. Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
Ben. This is gonna get confusing, but the Ben currently here, present Ben.
Present Ben.
You also went to school with us. We all went to Queen's Film.
That's right.
We met in Queen's Film.
Yep.
So you are equally, if not more qualified to speak on movies as Ben T and I.
I would say less qualified.
No, I don't know about that.
I've
you have professional experience.
Yeah, but you guys have taste, so yeah.
Oh. No, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this, then the Saw X episode came out late. Again, apologies, dealing with some personal matters, but this is a bonus episode. This is a bonus Halloween special to make up for it. So,
yeah, I
don't know. It all kind of like shakes out in my books.
I was meaning to ask you, could you tell me what the reference is? What you guys say, bonus? What is that from?
Great question.
Yeah.
We were looking for just like a bonus level theme or something from a video game, and we couldn't really find anything that just said bonus.
Okay.
So we created our own.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. I thought it was a reference I wasn't getting, so I appreciate it.
No, no worries. And if you, the listener, have any questions and need anything cleared up around the lore of the franchisees, please email us at thefranchiseespod@gmail.com, and we'll get top franchisees lore experts, Will or Jordan, on the case. Not me, not Ben, absent Ben.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what we're doing. we don't know what we've said. We don't know where we're going.
I've listened to most of your episodes.
Yeah, that's true. You are a fan.
So yeah. I have some lore knowledge here. So
do you listen to it like on your own, or do you like play it for other people and they're like, what the fuck is this, turn this off?
No, I would never play that for someone without consent.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
But you know, I can recommend it to my other fellow film freaks. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that goes for all of you listening. Like, we appreciate all the great reviews and the ratings. But now's the time. Tell 10 friends, and then get them to tell 10 friends.
Excellent.
For the last however many years, I don't know. For a while, you and I, present Ben,
myself,
we were doing an annual Halloween movie marathon.
That's right.
And it was always a good time. And then you went to Vancouver.
I moved to the West Coast, Best Coast. Yeah.
Yeah. Says you.
Yeah.
But you came back a couple years ago.
Yes.
And we picked up the tradition.
Yep.
And Ben T got involved as well.
Did you have any when I was gone, by the way?
No, I mostly just kind of watched.
Okay.
horror movies by
Well,
myself.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for your lonely times.
Yeah, nobody wanted to. Like, hey, you want to come over and watch like foreign horror films from the 60s? Like,
Yeah.
not a lot of takers.
True. Fair.
It is what it is.
Only people who went to our film school
Named Ben.
Named Ben.
Interested, yeah.
Yeah.
And hanging out.
Yeah.
But we started back up. Ben T was involved as well.
Right.
And it's always it's just a good time.
It's good. I show up and
We snack.
you snack, and you guys have chosen some weird stuff for me to watch. So I bring one or two things, and you guys bring most of it. So it's good.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, Ben absent Ben is so funny. Like, he always shows up with like a bag of just the most like obscure, crazy, random, like. But we've watched a lot of hits throughout the years.
For sure. Not all of them have been hits, but there's been a lot. Like,
hits in their own way.
I feel like this is kind of the one problem I have with my own Letterboxd, like self-selection, right?
Yeah.
Choosing your own movies, and this is why I end up with so many like 3 and 4 star reviews on my Letterboxd, because everything is just something that I chose, and I'm like, I don't really hate it.
Yeah.
But I guess today I didn't choose things, so there are some things I didn't like as much, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. This year we did 4. We
Yep.
did 4 films that I think it was an interesting an array.
It was, yeah, for sure. Yeah. A little bit of each. Got some subgenres represented for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, we always try to kind of cover some interesting horror films from different parts of the world, different times.
For sure.
We were talking about some of our favorites earlier today over lunch. We broke for, well, I guess dinner. But I forgot to also mention Audition.
Right.
We watched Audition for one of these, the Takeshi Miike film.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently read the book
Oh, amazing.
by Ryu Murakami.
How was it?
It was good. It's not. It wasn't. So I like both literary Murakamis.
Yep.
I like Haruki and Ryu.
Yeah.
I think they scratch different itches.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually wasn't my favorite Ryu Murakami book. I've read 3.
Okay.
I've read Piercing, In the Miso Soup, and now Audition.
Cool.
Actually, now that I say that, it might be my least favorite
Oh, no, out of the 3?
of the 3
Oh,
Ryu
no.
Murakami books that I've read.
Great movie, though. Yeah.
But yeah, awesome movie.
Yeah.
Great basis for the movie. And it's not like a bad book, but I really liked In the Miso Soup. If you ever get a chance to read that, there's a sequence in it that like really I found absolutely repellent,
Mm-hmm.
but in a good way.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would describe myself as borderline illiterate, so I mean, I read like a couple books a year, unfortunately, but
Well,
I will get to it one day. I hope.
I was talking to the listener more.
Okay.
I
I have to get used to the third person in the room, so
yeah.
apologies. Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them with us today. There's 20. But yeah, so this year we picked 4. We watched, and this one was Ben T's suggestion. We watched Todd Browning's Freaks
Yep.
from 1932.
Been meaning to watch that for a long time, for sure.
Yeah, I think I watched it on YouTube in like first year university back when feature length movies were on YouTube.
Just at 240p.
Yeah.
Or maybe I don't know.
Yeah, they were definitely interlaced.
Yeah.
But I kind of missed those days. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, you could find some, weird stuff. It's just all available right there. So
Yeah.
now you have to go to your legal movie downloads to get them, and that's just another step, right?
Criterion Channel.
Yeah.
It's part of their pre-code horror collection right now.
Nice.
Which, if you're wondering what code it is, it's not bro code.
No,
No.
not the code that we've established here today.
Yeah, it's
As bros.
Yeah. I believe began in the mid 30s, and it was all about self-censorship, and it was like a precursor to the MPAA
Mhm.
rating system.
Started by Christians in America. No, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, naturally. and basically, made movies less fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But also, added more metaphor and like kind of forced people to work around it in interesting ways in the 40s, I guess, right? Yeah.
That's That's so you. You're always looking on the bright side. Always looking on the bright side of government mandated
Fair, yeah. I mean, it was generally
regulatory bodies.
Censorship is probably not a good thing.
Yeah,
but,
no, but I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
Force people to kind of be
Yeah,
more subtle.
exactly.
But anyway, we watched Freaks, Todd Browning's Freaks. Then we watched. I'm gonna completely butcher the director's name, but we watched Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, the 1970 Czechoslovakian film. I know you're all dying to hear us talk about that, directed by... The problem is I don't know how J's are pronounced in Czechoslovakian or Czech.
Yeah.
But and there's two prominent J's in this person's name, but I'm just going to say Jaromil Jiresh. And then, we watched Hellraiser 2, Hellbound.
Yes. Which we had previously watched a couple of years ago, the original, or many years ago now, I guess. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it was a few years ago, but last year when we did this, man, last year was crazy. We watched like 6 movies or something.
It was too many movies. Ben T often talks about on this podcast about watching 4 or 5 movies a day and advises against it, and I would also second that as a Ben who watches movies. Yeah. It
was a lot. Like I remember my eyes were burning.
Yeah.
But this year the plan was to like watch fewer but then record this bonus ep.
Yeah.
So here we are. But you and I watched Hellraiser a while ago, and then last year we watched the Hellraiser remake.
The Hulu
Hellraiser, yes.
Which is just, I think, fun alliteratively to say, but not very fun as a movie, it turns out. Yeah.
No, it's super fun to say.
Yeah.
But we watched Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, directed by Tony Randall from 1988.
I looked it up. His most recent films are a series of telepathic dog Christmas movies, so he's doing great.
What are those called?
I think it's like Doggone Christmas or something. I need to look it up again. I'm not looking at my phone right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
1988. That was 1 year after Hellraiser 1.
That's right.
So they really churned it out.
And this was like a direct sequel. I mean, we can get into this later, but yeah, it kind of shows that came out right after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then the final movie we watched from this year, a lot of hype behind it, When Evil Lurks.
Yep. Argentinian film, I believe. Came out at TIFF here in Toronto.
It was probably a big Midnight Madness movie, huh?
In, this September. So, yeah.
By Demian Rugna, Argentinian filmmaker. Those are the 4 we watched, and we're just going to have a series of mini discussions.
It's gonna be a loose combo, right?
Oh, totally, yeah. And then like I don't know, we love ranking shit on this show, so maybe we'll like just rank them in order of
sure
how we enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll talk about some other movies we watched recently too.
Yeah. You see anything worth noting recently?
I did, and I think Ben had mentioned this on the podcast before, but finally watched Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah, Ben loves that movie.
Yeah. And I would agree with Ben. It's a great movie. I was just like the entire time being like, this is my shit. I finally understand all the things that I like and where it came from.
Yeah.
And, everything from Castlevania, Dark Souls, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm just like, okay, this is the aesthetic. This is where all those things got the idea of what a vampire could be and what castles should look like. And I don't know. I really dug it. I haven't seen, admittedly I haven't seen all of Coppola's work, but this was like more campy and more fun. And
it's fun.
And like really goes for it in ways I didn't expect. So I really enjoyed that one. So yeah,
nice.
If you're looking, if you're listening to this before November 1st and you still want to watch Halloween movie, definitely check that one out if you haven't seen it. So yeah,
you could watch Halloween movies year round.
I mean,
let's be real.
You did call me out for maybe not watching them year round the other day. So fair, yeah.
Yeah, true. Good point. Like his armor at the beginning of the movie does look like a Dark Souls NPC
Yeah.
that you come across, and you're like, I want that armor, and then you kick them off a cliff, and
Exactly,
then you get their armor. Yeah, like I could see that.
You could
Like-
do a long quest line in order to get their armor, or you could murder them.
Just punt them off a
Yeah,
cliff,
exactly,
and get
yeah.
the like Impaler armor,
Yeah, Vlad the Impaler. Looks like
the set.
like muscle, sinew, like blood. Like it looks basically like the no skin people from Hellraiser that we saw today.
Which we will definitely get to.
Yes, yeah.
Uh,
Skin talk later.
yeah, skin talk, skin talk on the franchisees.
Wow. How about you? Wait, what have you been watching?
Honestly, not a lot outside of the stuff I need to watch for this podcast. Just checking my letterbox now. No, I guess since last episode I'd seen a couple of movies. I never spoke about this, but a couple of weeks ago I saw Marnie at TIFF, the Alfred Hitchcock movie with Tippi Hedren. He made it like after The Birds.
Yep.
And it was Sean Connery, a young Sean Connery, who was a super handsome man.
Yeah, seeing early James Bond movies, you're like, damn, who's this guy?
Yeah, holy crap!
Yeah.
Like, did not know he was that hot.
Yeah.
But this was like a really entertaining movie.
Mm-hmm.
But watching it, knowing how awful Hitchcock was to Tippi Hedren,
Yeah.
especially because the movie, I don't want to spoil anything, but Marnie is kind of like, she's a thief, and she has there's reasons, like she is kind of like antisocial in the way she is, and the whole movie is kind of like Sean Connery like it entraps her. He's onto her ruse, and then kind of forces her to like marry him, and he knows what's best for her and like tries to help her. And you know, she just doesn't know like what's best for her own good. And he's also an amateur zoologist, so he's
Okay.
almost kind of like training her, and while like quote unquote helping her to get over some of her past shit. And part of that involves
Like a gaslighting situation, basically, right?
gaslighting
Yeah.
and an assault.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just the movie is totally, I think, watching it for the first time now, kind of done a disservice knowing just how terrible Hitchcock was
Right.
to Tippi Hedren. It's like, it's really easy to watch it and like imagine Hitchcock imagining himself in like the Sean Connery role, and like
Just abusing her and enjoying it. Yeah.
or yeah, and just like, you know, when's she gonna like come around and like, you know, say yes to his advances, because he obviously knows what's good for her, but of course she didn't, and then he kind of like fucked her career a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a shame, because she's amazing in it. Like
Right.
Tippi Hedren was awesome in Marnie, and I don't know if she did, but I hope she won an Academy Award. But I don't think she did.
Yeah. Fair.
Then I watched The Feast. It's a Welsh movie from 2021. I've only seen one other Welsh movie called Gwen that I saw at TIFF in like 2018, I think it was. And I like this one more than Gwen. They're not like super duper similar. They're both kind of, you know, bleak films with grim atmospheres. But I like The Feast a bit more because it had some like folklore-y, I don't want to spoil it, but it also reminded me a bit of the Swedish film Border, if you ever saw that.
I have not.
And I just found it kind of fun, but also grim and mean.
Okay.
And then I watched Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs.
Ooh.
I saw that at the review. And it, you know, wasn't my favorite Wes Craven, but it was pretty fun. You know what I found interesting about that?
What's that?
It was made in 1991.
Okay.
And it features Ving Rhames
Mm-hmm.
and a man in a full leather bondage gimp suit. And this is 3 years before Pulp Fiction. which
Clearly,
features
Tarantino was watching. Yeah.
Ving Rhames and a
And a man in
a
a full
leather.
bondage gift suit.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So a bit eyebrow raising.
Mm-hmm.
Tarantino.
I mean, he wears his influences on his sleeve, you know.
I
So,
think
but
he-
he didn't specifically call out that one. Maybe I don't know.
I think he has some explaining to do personally.
Fair. Yeah.
I want to know what's up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, it was fun. I just didn't find it like very. It was funny at moments, but like not really scary at all. And certain aspects of it were pretty messy.
You say it's not your favorite Wes Craven film. What would be your favorite then?
Probably like one of the Screams. Like
yeah.
I probably Scream.
Scream is really good. Yeah.
Scream 2 is fun too.
I need to see that one actually still. Yeah. I recently watched Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time.
That one's great as well.
Yeah.
Actually,
it's my favorite part is just the fact that there's like no signifier between the dream world and the real world, so it really builds that tension and keeps it going because you never know whether the threat is there or not. So yeah, it's really, really cool that way.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah.
And there are moments that are like quite funny, like when he pulls the girl through the like peephole in the door.
Oh yeah.
It's like clearly like a blow up doll getting like pulled through.
Yeah. But this is definitely like in the pre-Scream world where characters don't act like they've seen horror movies before, and you're just like really frustrated with how they're behaving, you know. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but yeah, I like that one too for sure.
And Scream 3 is really good because it features Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
So
very important figures in your life and Ben's life. Yeah. Yeah.
Automatic 5 stars.
5 stars. Kevin Smith. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably my answer to that.
That's
anyway.
Wes Craven chat. Okay. Cool.
Did you do anything for Halloween besides this marathon?
No. I had a costume plan, but didn't end up going to any parties. So I'll save it for next year. It's good. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
My life is pretty booked right now, but you know, we're building towards something else. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a costume party,
Nice.
and my partner and I went as Richie and Margot Tenenbaum,
Nice.
and it was a big hit.
Excellent. Yeah. I saw your costume. You look great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was funny because there was another couple there who went as Zero, the lobby boy, and Saoirse Ronan's character from Grand Budapest Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
The girl he falls in love with. And we kept like running into them, and we're like, "Oh, great, Wes Anderson corner."
Did you take a very carefully framed photo up together? I wish.
I don't know if we took it. Yeah, we should have.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, like made it super symmetrical. Like
Yeah.
forced everyone out of the way to get like perfect symmetry, and
Yeah.
then like Arthur. Yeah, we
Exactly.
should have. You know, it was funny. There was a guy there, and he was with his partner, who we met, and they were very funny because her name was Meg and his name was Ryan.
Nice.
They'll never listen to this show, but shout outs to you. They were like, you can remember it because we're Meg Ryan. And I was like, yeah, nice. And so she was dressed as like a Joy-Con controller. Like they both had kind of like cardboard cutout,
Amazing.
like Joy-Con controllers for a Switch. And then they made like the center screen console as well. And they put like a big printout of Slay the Spire on it and
Hell
stuff. Yeah, so they were like a Switch playing Slay the Spire.
They were physically connected to each other walking around, or
They
I guess
dropped
it's-
the middle part.
okay,
And they would just like pick it up when they really wanted to impress someone.
gotcha. Just
But-
like Joy-Cons, you know, they're detachable. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But then the dude, Ryan, he was also wearing the jacket from Drive, Ryan Gosling Drive. And he was saying he like made the jacket, or like I think he made it.
Right.
So he was like, you know, I agreed to do the Switch thing because she needed a costume or something, but I also worked on this jacket. So I was like, I'm not going to wear it. So he was the driver from Drive, being a Switch.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I was like, kudos to you for doing Ryan Gosling from Drive and not Ken.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want to get too much off topic. I know that's
No,
Frenchie's Chinese tradition, but
that's like the name of the game.
yeah, fair. Have you seen Wes Anderson's Roald Dahl adaptations on Netflix?
No, I haven't.
I've only seen
I
one so
should.
far, but it's really good. Excited to watch more. He does a really interesting thing where he just takes the entire text of the stories and puts it into the movie so that the characters are actually reading the entire text.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone at the party was actually saying that.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of people came
Wanted
up
to
to
talk
us
to you
and wanted
about
to talk about Wes Anderson.
Fair
yeah.
enough. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, fuck. Hate that guy. No, he's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm curious to see them because I like a lot of Roald Dahl's more adult-oriented short stories.
Mm-hmm.
He was a talented writer. He didn't just write kids' books. I don't know where these stories come from.
Yep.
I haven't read them before, but check out Tales of the Unexpected.
Okay.
If you're a fan of Roald Dahl's writing and want something geared more towards adults, they're pretty surprising.
Yeah.
Also, you know what Roald Dahl's last words were?
I mean, he was an anti-Semite, so what were they?
Yeah. It was "fuck the Jews."
Okay.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that, but his last words were he was on his deathbed surrounded by family, and he was like, "It's not that I'm afraid, it's just that I'm going to miss you all so much." And those would have been his last words, but as he was like kind of passing out, and the nurse gave him like an injection or something, and then he went, "Ow, fuck."
Oh, wow.
And those were his last words.
Wow.
That might just be an urban legend. I don't know, but
it's a good story for a podcast, at least. There.
Yeah, I like to think that it's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, Roald Dahl, you're fucking canceled.
I mean, we knew this. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't. Freaks.
Freaks.
Todd Browning's Freaks, 1932.
1932. Todd Browning. I mean, what do you know about this director? I looked on his Wikipedia, and he is apparently a former carny and a circus performer as well. So
interesting.
He is showing his world to us somewhat through this film.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Like,
Yeah.
he's kind of obviously speaking from a place that he knows a thing or two about.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie itself was very interesting.
Yeah, this is like a very early portrayal of physical disability on film that, like, yeah, not very common, especially after the Hays Code.
No,
I'm guessing. So
no,
yeah, pretty remarkable, and the fact that these were all real performers who worked in this kind of institution of circuses and carnivals and all that, and sideshows.
Yeah,
and they're featured in the movie where they get to be together, and yeah,
and they're good.
Yeah, they're amazing performers. They are performers, right?
Yeah. But like, sometimes that doesn't physical, like live performance doesn't really translate into screen performance.
Yeah.
But it certainly did for the performers in this film.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm trying to think of like a recent like pop star who tried to make it as like an actor, and it just like Selena Gomez. Did she start as an actor, or did she start? She started as an actor, right?
I have no idea.
That doesn't hold water. But anyway, like the performers in Freaks, they had amazing screen presence. Like, they all felt,
and not just in a leering way, like not just and their presence in terms of how they appear on screen, but their ability to act and actually take direction was clear, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
They carry the scenes, and yeah.
And there were like several moments that I thought were like pretty, like some really good camera moves that like almost felt kind of modern and stuff, and some really striking compositions.
For
like
sure.
I'll just put it out on the table. I enjoyed Freaks.
I really enjoyed Freaks. Yeah. It's pretty wild that like a movie clearly of this high quality, the studio film that was made in this MGM style, like with very steady camera, beautiful sets and stars, and just done up in a traditional Hollywood way, but focusing on this subject matter, right? So
totally. And an interesting story too. Like, it's not really just leering at these people like, oh, look at these quote unquote freaks. Yeah. It's kind of, so it's this traveling circus, and there's a like an acrobat named Cleopatra.
Well, let's not forget the framing device of the film, which is we're introduced. There's, I guess, like a carny or something.
Yeah.
Talking to a crowd, basically saying,
presenting like a freak.
Presenting a freak, saying you could be one of these people if you weren't for the genetic lottery of being born. So
yeah, but you don't see who he's talking about.
Yeah. So he leads you over to this box, and everyone gasps, the audience, and then he says, well, this person used to be someone everyone wanted to marry, this woman here. And it cuts to the trapeze artist named Cleopatra.
Yes, and she is basically having there's a traveling circus, and she's romantically involved with a strong man who we had to laugh about because he just looked like a normal dude.
He just, I mean, we're two tall guys. He's like,
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely stronger than us, I'd say, but not by a huge much.
He might have been really short though. That's the thing.
Yeah, you know, definitely not the 80s action stars that we're used to, or the you know,
Or
the
modern action stars who are like yoked up
yeah, exactly.
on
Steroids
roids.
were not a factor.
No, he's just like
man.
he's a man with an average build.
Exactly.
And you see him like your first shot of him, he's like kind of like wrestling like a bull.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, like that man, what? Like, is that bull like, you know, fixed in any way? Like, there's no way. But
wild.
so he's kind of involved with her. But then there's, I don't know the medical condition, but there's
Dwarfism.
Is that the medical condition? Because
I looked up these actors. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a man who's in like a child's body.
Yeah. Well,
like
very small man. Yeah.
Yes, like Hasbulla.
Yeah.
The internet meme.
Right.
And he has a fiance who has the same condition as him.
Played by his sister.
Really?
Real life sister. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. That's why they looked exactly alike. Yeah.
True. Yeah. And but he has eyes for Cleopatra.
Mm-hmm.
And basically throughout the movie, you kind of just see their day-to-day life at the circus. But then also Cleopatra kind of takes advantage of this guy. His name's Hans, right? He's like German.
He's a German man, yeah, who's part of this freak show circus. And he's fallen for Cleopatra, who's basically making her mission to exploit and ultimately win the fortune of him.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's a very rich man somehow. Yeah.
Lucrative business being in a freak show.
Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, is social media not just one giant freak show, man?
So deep, deep, bro.
Thank you. So we see kind of like the interpersonal drama among the circus performers. There's a clown named Frozo who has a crush on a woman. I forget her name.
I forget her name too. She was great though. Yeah.
And then there's a man who doesn't have a lower body.
Yep.
So he kind of just walks around on his arms. The upper, I mean, I want to say the upper body strength, but it's just his body.
Yeah, his arm strength. Yeah.
Is incredible.
Apparently he lived to the age of 79. I looked up, which is crazy. And
that's
Leonardo DiCaprio has been trying to make a movie about him since the 1990s. So yeah.
Why specifically about him?
I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm sure he's an inspiring story.
This is just the Wikipedia I've been reading while we watch the movie. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't come to this podcast for research, right?
Yeah, that's true. Listen, I'm not a big Leonardo DiCaprio fan, but I hope he gets to see this dream through.
I don't think he should try to be able to portray this.
Don't listen to him, Leo. He's just trying to ruin everything for everyone. No, I'm just joking. I mean, he also wants to do Akira, and I think probably star in it too, right? So
yeah,
we'll see.
I'm not a fan of every one of his choices.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of very few of them. But, so yeah, we get these scenes where she's kind of getting money from Hans, Cleo's getting money from Hans, and then we see some day-to-day stuff, and it all kind of comes to a head when Hans and Cleopatra get married. And then she begins, well, first there's like a wedding feast scene, which is kind of iconic, where everyone's kind of gathered around the table, and that's when they start chanting like, we accept her, gooble gobble, gooble gobble, one of us. Yeah.
And they start passing this wine around, and we've already seen that she's poisoned Hans' cup, right?
Yeah, she starts poisoning him, but she like makes out with Hercules, the strong man, in front of everyone and stuff, and then calls them all freaks, and is just generally like very, very rude. Yeah. Hercules and Cleopatra are like just very rude and extreme bullies to everyone else in the circus.
Totally. And one of the wonderful things I think about this movie is that you don't just see these people, on performing, that you see them just in their everyday life. So like
Yeah.
you get to really appreciate that these are complete human beings with lives, and but and the antagonist of the movie is someone who doesn't realize that these are people. So it's I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes, but when they do all find out that she's been poisoning Hans, they exact gruesome revenge.
I mean, the one of us was a threat, right? Or
yeah,
either you're with them or you're not. So
yeah, true. Yeah, they're with us or against us.
This is a community looking out for its own,
And they sure did.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, spoiler alert, this movie's like almost 100 years old.
Yeah.
But like, watch it. Skip ahead like a few minutes if you don't want spoilers. But basically, the exact gruesome revenge, and then we go back to that like framing device at the beginning, and she's kind of been like mutilated in a way where she kind of resembles a chicken. Like, I don't think she has a tongue because she can only squawk.
Yeah.
And then it looks
one
like
of her eyes is kind of cut out, and
she's like been feathered.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like permanently.
Exactly. And apparently there was a longer cut of this film by the director. Got hacked 20 minutes taken off of it.
So I think that is such a shame, because I think there probably was more around that kind of ending climax mutilation sequence,
which is so effective up into a point where it abruptly stops.
Yeah. Those were some of the moments where I was like, ooh, these are some like camera moves I would see today. Like, This is some like really good horror mise en scène and blocking and stuff like that. But then also I wonder if there was more just of the day-to-day life stuff, because I really dug that stuff. Like, there are conjoined twins, and one is like already married, and then the other one gets engaged
as a suitor. Yes.
Yeah, and we don't see like more of that, but like that stuff was kind of like interesting.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm sure there were probably more scenes with like Frozo the clown interacting with people. Like he's kind of a good guy, he
for sure. Yeah. And just general more circus performers, people. Yeah. People eating with their feet, and other things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, Freaks. I dug it.
I recommend it. Yeah, for sure.
How many freaks out of 5 would you give?
That's I think that's your worst rating system yet. But
okay, great.
Yeah. I give it a 4 freaks out of 5.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great way to start the marathon.
The one star missing because of the truncated cut, I'd say.
Yeah, it didn't really feel complete.
Yeah.
Like
I want to see what was missing, and I think the tension of that last scene really was undercut by this clear hack job that happened to it. So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Then next up, we had your favorite film, Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. This was the 1970s Czechoslovakian film by the fellow with the multiple J's in his name. And this one was a trip.
Yeah, I don't know if I can really engage with it more than to say that they put a 13-year-old actress in like sexual situations and scenes of sexual violence, and I don't think that's ever okay. And I'm generally would say having child actors to begin with is not great for the Hollywood system or movie making, and I doubt that this girl was treated well, or her she was protected in any way while making this movie. So yeah, there are I'm sure other aesthetic qualities to this movie that we could talk about, but yeah, I think it's pretty important to say that most important thing when watching this movie, and I didn't actually know that this was the case until I was nearly finished watching the movie, that we realized that this was a 13-year-old girl in these scenarios. So not great, but it's on the Criterion channel for some reason, and I mean, I'm not saying that we should strike it from the record. All the film like this should still be available, of course, but yeah, celebrating it, other artistic merits, I think would be poor in light of the big miss. I think this film attempts to be, I'd say, a story of a girl's, sexual awakening or coming of age, and depicts the church as being like a lecherous force and just kind of like men in general being a threat to women. But the fact that the film itself and its production decided to exploit a 13-year-old girl in this way, I don't think we can actually, applaud it for that because of the way it was made. So
do you know much about the production of the film?
I don't, but the fact that we're seeing the results, and
because Sallow famously features like a lot of young actors in way worse situations than depicted in Valerie and Her Week of Wonders,
right?
And it was a very is documented as being like a very jovial set, and like they purposely had like a very like upbeat mood and stuff. And I don't know, I think you raised some interesting points. I don't know, I personally don't recommend this movie, and I was kind of saddened by realizing what I was watching. I'm sure there's some people out there who might enjoy it, but yeah, I did. I'm one of those people. This is great. This is great. Like we don't have enough differing opinions on such like extreme levels on this pod.
Okay, but I'm here to fight you on that, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, like, it doesn't sound like there's much of a fight. Like, it sounds like you're just like opposed to this film.
Yeah.
And I am curious. I wonder if what the production was, how the lead actor felt about things.
I don't think a 13-year-old can consent, to this.
To performing in a film. Like she appears nude in certain scenarios
under the director's and the writer's desires. The actual, this is based on a novel, and the original novel is, still a child, but a 17-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to make her 13 in this movie, and hire a 13-year-old. I feel like that's kind of weird.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. That sounds like lecherous Czechoslovakians to me.
Yeah. I know, you were telling me that it has fairy tale qualities that remind you of some Eastern European stuff that you consumed as a kid, and that's cool, and I definitely appreciate that. I don't want to take that away from you, but it's hard. Yeah, it's hard for me to recommend it.
Yeah.
Personally. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I hear that.
Yeah.
I dug its weird hallucinatory vibe, and it did just kind of feel like a day glow walk through a Eastern European village where you'd encounter some folkloric shit. And I guess I didn't find the situations she was placed in as distressing as you did, maybe.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
The fact that she was asked to appear nude, or
that's a tricky one. I don't have the answers to that one.
I feel like there's a lot of consent in these films, right? Like the performers in the first movie as well. Not all of them. Some of them had intellectual disabilities as well, so that's something that we have to acknowledge.
Yeah.
But and here as a child, I don't think. Yeah. Anyway, I'm running. I'm going off track here, but we can get back. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I would give this movie 4 days out of a 5-day week. I enjoyed it. I appreciated a lot of what it was going for. I appreciate its hallucinatory daydream vibe. And I think you raised a lot of important points, and I think all that stuff is valid. I was still able to glean a lot from this movie that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm not I'll say this, like, I don't think I'm the right person to make this call, you know. Like, I'm sure a lot of better critics out there who can talk to this and understand this film and maybe its production and all that. And definitely would recommend, you know, if you're not listening, check out You Must Remember This. It's erotic 90s and 80s seasons where they deal with, you know, themes of exploitation, especially around women and filmmaking. So check that out if you're interested. And yeah, I'll leave it to that.
Yeah, I don't think we should repeat those behaviors, but obviously, like, people are still enjoying the art years later on.
Yeah.
So who knows? We don't have the final word on it, but there you have two.
I can't be a perfect consumer of art either. So
yeah. Two incredibly polarizing opinions on, well, not really.
No.
I mean, like,
I feel like we agree that, that there's some wrongness here, but you still enjoyed the aesthetic qualities of the film. Yeah. Where exactly. I can't really get past it, and you know, I'll leave it to Ben T for his final take, maybe. Yeah.
And that's and you know what? Maybe now's a good point to splice in. We've got fresh off the press Ben T and his opinions on I don't know, maybe we'll do like the two we've spoken about now if he has them. But right now we're going live to Ben T for the Ben T report.
Roast me.
Hey everybody, I like Freaks a lot. I've seen it a couple of times. I just got the Criterion edition with the Mystic and the Unknown or whatever. And I'm looking forward to watching it. I haven't, but I wasn't able to watch it again before editing this, which is already very late, and in November, well into November, if we're being honest. You know, sorry about that. But thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. And I'll tell you what, Freaks. Yeah, Freaks. Freaks is great. I like Freaks more than I like Todd Browning's Dracula, which I also like, but I mean, Freaks is just like next level stuff. Very, very shocking movie for young Benjamin to see back when he was a lad. To see a movie, very old movie, probably one of the oldest movies I had seen at that point, like as a teenager or whenever I watched it, I don't know. And to see something that was like had that much power to shock you, and it was unlike anything I'd ever seen, and I really like it, and I think the guys liked it too, which is great. And on to Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, which I also didn't watch, and I haven't actually ever seen. So I'm sorry I can't settle this debate, unfortunately, I guess, without having seen the movie. Though I did watch some scenes from it in film school when somebody like on a set, like they were like the set decorators, and they like had it on a laptop and were watching it like in between, like in downtime and whatever. And I watched a bit of it then, but I didn't watch the whole movie. So anyway, but but like, you want my opinion about stuff? Like, it's 12:55 a.m. right now on whatever the day it is in November. I'm drinking some AHA sparkling water beverage, and I'll tell you what, I'm hitting the vape. Here, let's do a big Oh yeah, hit the vape, and I'm drinking AHA blueberry and pomegranate. AHA. Okay. And so I'm pretty chill with whatever, like, like do whatever, make your movie, like whatever. But not anymore. No, you can't do that anymore, and that's good. But we can enjoy the movies of the past for what they are in all their horrible glory, the awful things that they depicted or did, and the awful people who made them. We can enjoy them now because most of them are dead. And we can, Yeah, and keep on keeping on, right? And that's what it's all about. It's just moving forward, and staying on course, and just giving it 110%, right? And you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, anyway, I think I'm not sure what movie they're about to watch. It's gonna be good though, whichever one it is, and then I'm sure I'll have something or other to say about it coming up.
And we're back.
Wow.
That was
wow.
super duper insightful, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next, we have, I think, a decidedly way less controversial film, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2.
Hellraiser 2, yes. Yeah, this is I enjoyed this one. This is a nice movie in comparison. I'm not sure. I can't speak to the production of this one. Maybe as well, but at least to my eyes, there was less sexually exploited 13-year-olds. So that's great.
Certainly appears that way.
Yeah.
Certainly appears that way.
To my count, 0. That's good. Yeah.
A lot of mutilated corpses, though.
Oh yeah, a lot of no skin people, which is great. Yeah,
I have a soft spot in my heart for Hellraiser.
I would agree with that. There's something pretty wonderful about the way that they approach just showing us body horror in wonderful and gross ways, and the amount of wetness and bloodiness and bloodiness in these movies that is just like really, they just go for it. It's great. Yeah,
and like amazing practical effects. Like I love a lot of the practical effects in these movies, and I just had like a really good time watching the first one with you when we did.
Yeah,
like there's something about it. Like I just kind of dug the gothic aspects, and Clive Barker, he made like a kind of like a nasty, sexy movie. Like it was quite mean, and I assume most people are familiar with Hellraiser, but basically there's this box called the Lament Figuration, which is a Rubik's Cube that summons S&M demons from another dimension. Who
derive pain from pleasure, or pleasure from pain, pardon me.
Well, they're just like from a dimension, or from hell, where like pleasure and pain are so impossibly like immersed that like extreme pain is extreme pleasure.
And they just want to provide that to you all the time, and they're just looking for opportunities, and
totally.
And your reward for being a smart boy and solving a good puzzle is some torment in hell. So good.
Eternal torture
for being for doing your Tetris
by a bunch of like mutilated leather daddies.
Yeah,
because they're all like decked out in leather.
Oh
and then they all have some like physical thing that's causing them pain permanently. Like they're called Cenobites.
Yeah.
The main one is famously Pinhead. His head is filled with pins.
And we get a little Pinhead origin story in this one.
Yeah, we do. And I love watching Hellraiser with you. The Hulu Hellraiser, it was kind of fun to watch as like oh my god, like what did they do? Like this is so different or whatever.
The Gen Z Hellraiser.
Gen Z Hellraiser.
Which we are a member of, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ben T and I both turned 23 this month, so yeah.
Well, we're all the same age.
Oh yeah.
So we are all actually 17.
Right. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. As old as Valerie should have been.
Yeah.
But
well, at least.
Even that one, like, we weren't big fans of it, but it was fun to watch it all together. I'm like happy to announce that I enjoyed Hellbound Hellraiser 2 way more than Hulu Hellraiser.
Oh yeah.
And for a movie that they churned out like a year after the original, like I was actually really happy to see that it didn't feel like scant. Like it felt like it did have ideas and things in it. There were a bit too many shots of I forget her name, but the main woman and then the mute girl from the psychiatric ward like running down the hallways of hell.
Yeah,
they kept like, I was like, okay, we've seen them running
yeah,
quite a
sure.
bit, like just get to it.
And
then they had like the movie opens with like a last week on Hellraiser, and
Yeah,
they do
and
like a recap.
Exactly. This is what we were speaking about earlier. This is like clearly made right after, and they want audiences to remember exactly what happened because
Yeah.
the movie picks up like the second after the last one where the main character wakes up in the hospital having survived the trauma of the first movie. So yeah, we jump right into it, and they want you to know what happened last week on Hellraiser. Yeah.
Yeah, and then later on in the movie, she like again explains the plot again in more detail
Exactly.
to the doctor,
Yeah.
who in like a fun little twist is kind of revealed to be like a sick sadomasochistic puppy himself, and he knows all about the lament configurations, and he's been studying, and he like wants to uncover its secrets because he has that thirst for like carnal knowledge.
Exactly. He's a sick little boy. By little boy I mean old man. And yeah, he wants to he's taking his psychiatric patients and experimenting on them in order to get as close as possible to this dimension. And the main character wakes up in that psychiatric hospital and has to deal with this as well. So yeah.
And then there's a mute girl who is really good at puzzles and stuff, and she kind of gets roped in. It's funny, like it is immediately afterwards, and there's like a lot of stuff. It does, and with the like recap, it does kind of feel like a soap opera, or like the next episode in like in a really juicy soap about this family.
Exactly.
Because like in the first movie, where there was a bit of blood spilled on the floor and started regenerating Frank. In this movie, Frank being the main character's like wicked uncle.
Yeah. There's a complicated family drama at the center of this, right? The main character.
Dude, so complicated.
Yeah. So let's figure this out together. So the main character has
her name is Kirsty Cotton.
Yeah. And her dad was alive at the beginning of the first movie, right?
Yes.
But her mom is not, right?
No.
Or at least not in the picture.
Yeah, it's her stepmom who is Julia.
Yeah, Julia.
And she's also wicked.
And she is the one of the antagonists of the film, yeah.
Yeah.
And she is cheating on her dad with Frank, right?
Who's her uncle.
Who's her uncle, yeah, exactly. So
Ooh, Lord.
And Frank is in the first movie into this weird stuff that gets him sent to hell.
Yeah.
And he eventually comes back to haunt or like take Julia, or I forget, but yeah.
Listen, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Leading a life of kink and non-monogamy will land you into an eternal dimension of pain.
Or just liking puzzles.
Yeah, or just like being into like little trinkets.
Yeah, being a Mensa member.
But yeah, like in the first movie, Julia and Frank like kill Kirsty's dad, and then at one point he's like wearing her skin. Because when you come back from the dimension, you come back like piece by piece. So he's you're skinless for a while, and you need to like
regenerate
suck people's skin off.
Yeah, which we were wondering about the mechanics of which. So yeah, I mean,
it's like the Mummy. It's like the 1999 Mummy.
Yeah, I mean, we see Julia come back after the psychiatric doctor brings one of his patients in, and basically gruesome scene where he gets like sucked into the hell dimension and gets torn apart.
Yeah,
and wrestled by the skinless Julia.
Yeah. It's a patient who has visual delusions. He sees like maggots kind of burrowing into his skin.
Yeah.
So the evil psychiatric doctor hands him a straight razor, and he just starts like carving at himself to try to get the maggots off.
Yeah.
It's actually really brutal.
It is.
But then it's like there's this evil mattress, right? It's the cursed mattress
where everyone has died on. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you get blood on the mattress, like that's what starts the regeneration process.
A mattress with chains on it to hold victims down, by the way. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's like mine.
Yeah.
No. And then skinless Julia kind of comes out of the mattress and starts doing her thing, getting her skin and organs back.
And as soon as the doctor sees this woman emerge from a hell dimension and wrestle his patient, he's in love.
Cue the romantic music. Like, it's really funny. Like, because I can't. The effects in this movie are very good, and she looks repulsive.
She does. Yeah.
It's literally a wet, skinless being.
Yeah. you can see her spine,
Yep.
every bump on it, down
Every
down the
vertebrae.
back, every vertebrae exactly. And she's wrestling this patient, and that gets the doctor going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they kind of like team up, and then
He bandages her up, kind of like a movie I haven't seen, but I'm guessing would be like Eyes Without a Face. I'm guessing it's
I've seen that.
probably a reference. I don't know. Does that happen?
No.
No. Okay. Okay.
She's never bandaged up. She's
Okay.
like the mummy.
Yeah, she's like the mummy. Yeah, and she behaves very much like the mummy, like you said.
Yeah.
They steal a bunch of people in order to start collecting their organs so she can regenerate her skin, right?
And meanwhile, like this other doctor kind of saw this and goes to Kirsty and it's like, you were right. Everything was right.
Mm-hmm.
We think he's going to kind of be a main character, but then he totally gets it and is killed.
I was like, is this guy really going to be the hunk for the movie?
Nope.
No. He gets his skin taken off real soon.
This movie was NHR, no hunk required.
No hunk required.
We did not need one.
Great.
But Kirsty sees a message that's like, I'm in hell, help me. And she thinks it's her dad.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of becomes interested in, going to the Cenobite dimension and stuff. But meanwhile, the psychiatrist uses this mute girl to solve the lament configuration, summons everyone. And then, like, in a bit of a CinemaSins moment, the Cenobites arrive. Cenobites, I don't know the proper pronunciation. Sue me.
Cenobites. I'm gonna say Cenobites.
But they show up, and Pinhead's like, it's not hands that summon us, it's desire or something. So they don't target the mute girl. But like, I feel like their shtick is tricking people into doing this Rubik's Cube and then ripping them apart with hooks.
I feel like one of the things I did not like about this movie. And I think maybe it was Will who said this on your podcast, but the world building here was not necessary. I don't think. I mean, you see more of hell, I believe, in this one.
Yeah.
You there starts to be more rules about how they operate. I like the idea of there's some basic rules in the first film, but I like the idea of these Cenobites being some unknowable forces that really cannot be reasoned with. But here, we start to have full conversations with them and. I think that's where this film kind of lost it for me in some respects. But what did you think about that?
I totally similar to the last film. I see where you're coming from, and I don't like that because of where this film goes in regards to that stuff. I don't like aspects of where it ends up. So basically, like the psychiatrist. He goes to hell and he's tricked by Julia into going into this like pod that turns him into a Cenobite. He gets like wires stretched into his face. He becomes Wireface.
Wireface, yeah.
And then he is like connected to some like biomechanical thing and then goes on like a killing rampage and he wants to be like the head Cenobite. So it almost becomes like kind of like not an action adventure movie, but it's like, let's triumph over this, like he's the big boss.
He gets his biomechanical mech suit on to fight at the end of the movie. Basically, he powers up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I liked about the first Hellraiser, in addition to a lot of the like random or the like wonderful gothic production design and stuff, was like you said, they're not traditional antagonists. They are these beings from a dimension of pleasure and pain, and you don't like have to defeat them. It's more like you summon them, you can get them to go away, but it's not like a boss you have to defeat.
Exactly. I mean, the one thing I guess the common line between it is that the people who are not Cenobites are the real antagonists of both movies, right? Like,
totally. Frank and Julia.
Yeah, Frank and Julia.
And then the doctor in this movie.
And the doctor in this movie who desires to, I guess just does not really care for his patients or human life and is really just seeking for his own means for some, because he's a sick guy. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But where I differ from you is, I don't like that's kind of where it ends up into this like good versus evil like fight, but I do like some of the explorations of like their dimension. Like I like that in their world they worship Leviathan, who is just a giant 3D rhombus in the sky. That I kind of dug that. I kind of like that the whole world is like an MC Escher looking like labyrinth world. That was kind of cool. I like this idea that Cenobites are humans who are transformed into these demonic beings, because then at a certain point, the Professor Cenobite, the Doctor Cenobite, kills all the original ones from the movie, and they kind of revert back to their human forms. Well, actually, like, yeah, this part, like, it was fun in like a cheesy 80s way, but in kind of disappointing in a, oh man, I wanted these to be like mysterious, dark, interdimensional beings way. But she finds a photo of Pinhead before he transformed, and like shows it, Kirsty does, and she shows it to him, and he kind of has like, Pinhead has a moment where he was like, I was human once, you know, and it's like,
I was a boy once, and it's like showing him a picture of a toy that he loved, you know?
yeah, and
but this is a photo from the Doctor's collection somehow that also he's like an expert on all this, which is not explained as well, but you know,
everyone has a hobby.
Yeah, everyone has a hobby. His is hell. Yeah,
his is learning about these demons.
Yeah,
but yeah, I didn't really like that, but I did like they kind of stand up to this this Dr. Cenobite, and he kills them all, and then they all kind of revert back to their human forms. And the Chatterer, the one with the teeth that goes, turns out,
are you getting that, Ben?
I think I could hear it. He was a boy. He's like, he turns back. He's like on this thing that's spinning, and he goes around a rotation. And when it comes back, he's like a little boy. And then the idea of just like a kid, maybe he was like a mean kid, and he found this thing and was transformed into like the Chatterer, who's like, his like mouth is kind of pulled back and his teeth are chattering. It was a cool idea. I like that aspect of the lore.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, and I think overall it really delivers. You know, once again, the practical special effects in this movies are incredible.
They're so good.
The ripping and tearing and spikes and, you know, and hooks going into flesh and pulling and stretching, and yeah, they really deliver in so many great ways. And yeah, definitely appreciate what they achieved there for sure.
If you were transformed into a Cenobite, what do you think like your Cenobite shtick would be?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't want to be any taller, so maybe if they like just like stretch me, like my skin, like I'd like one, you know, so like most of my skin was like on top of my head, or, you know, I just like have some loose skin.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, just a very stretched man.
Maybe you're like your midsection is kind of pulled apart and like extended by
by spikes and held in with hooks, or
like steel or something.
Exactly.
You know, like that's cool. That's
like a man on a stretcher, but permanently who can walk around. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be the Chatterer, but instead of on my face, like pulling the skin on my mouth back, it would be my foreskin.
Nice. Yeah.
So I would just walk around in like their leather, in a full bondage leather suit.
But trying to get it back, just like
when my penis is exposed, and then it's the foreskin is being pulled back by hooks.
Okay. Yeah.
and my dickhead chatters.
There were some very dick-like looking snakes that the Doctor employed by the end of his full transformation as well. Yeah. Also, the worm that connects to the back of his head looked very dick-like at one point as well. So, I mean, clearly we're dealing with sex and death of horror. So, you know, probably intentional, but yeah.
I was a fan. I enjoyed this. How many? Man, the rating system is lazy today. I'm sorry, Ben, but there's a lot of movies.
How many Hellraiser 2 Hellbounds would you give it out of 5 Hellraiser 2 Hellbounds?
No. How many? Out of a gang of 5 Cenobites, how many Cenobites would you give it?
I'm gonna give this a Pinhead, a Chatterer, and the guy who's looks like melted, like his face was in a microwave. So 3 out of 5. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm actually I'm feeling 4.
Wow.
I'd give it a Pinhead, a Chatterer, the lady with her throat exposed.
Okay.
And I don't know how else to describe him, but Butterball.
Because
he looks like a Butterball turkey.
Yeah. That's You're feeling good about these so far.
Yeah. Honestly, I've really enjoyed the horror movie marathons this year.
Yeah.
So let's end with a whimper. And no, I'm being hard on it. But a final movie we watched got a lot of hype this year. I was telling you,
you're getting us ready. You're in the group chat. You're hyping us up.
Well, I saw like one of those silly clickbait like Instagram reels where it's like a guy and he's like, guys, I need to tell you about a horror film that like really fucked me up. And he was like, this movie is so disturbing, it will leave you. So it was definitely like overhyped for me, but I saw some like decent reviews on Letterboxd. I did see people who were genuinely kind of like shocked and upset by some of the content in this movie.
Sure,
yeah. Like, I don't know, like maybe I'm super duper desensitized. But it's When Evil Lurks from Argentina.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I'm with you. I probably am desensitized. I feel like what really affects me is more psychological stuff, things that really just like unsettle me. I feel like although there were some unsettling elements in terms of the family at the core of the story and like their dynamics, but
sure.
This movie is trying to deliver shocks in terms of gore and disgust, and that's mostly just I just kind of appreciate the craft when I look at that. But,
yeah, me too.
But it doesn't really. It did not. I'm not going to leave scarred today from this movie.
Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah. Me neither. No. Unfortunately, I am not scarred for life.
Not that's
not bad.
No.
Like to be clear, I didn't think it was a bad movie.
No.
There were elements of it I enjoyed
for sure.
But it wasn't earth-shattering, like depressing the way it was kind of made out to be by certain outlets. Like
I don't think it's exceptional enough that we're gonna like remember this in a few years. But
yeah,
I don't know.
So it's like a possession monster. Zombie movie almost, where like a possessed person is like called a rotten, and they're kind of like they're like an egg essentially, like poised to hatch and give birth to evil or something, but certain things have to happen in order for that to become a reality. And these people discover it in like rural Argentina on a farm, and they try to get rid of it, and they like move it to another place. But
two brothers and I guess their friend who's another farmer. They find this family with this a mother and her two sons, one of which is the rotten, who has been infected somehow, which is not exactly shown.
No,
but
in this universe, like this kind of just happens.
Yeah,
like, like evil manifests from time to time.
Yeah, there's a lot of casual conversations later on where I guess this. I'm not sure. We of course did zero research on this, but maybe this is part of Argentinian folklore that there's possessed people.
Yeah.
And apparently the city is more filled with them than the rural places, according to the people in this movie.
And I wonder if this is a metaphor for certain recent
global pandemic events.
Possibly.
Interesting. Yeah. So there's references throughout the movie where family members and the people encounter talk about whether or not they've encountered the possessed or the rotten before. And we start to there's definitely some rules that are applied in terms of how these zombies work, which by the end of it I wasn't entirely clear how they worked, to be honest, but guns are bad, electricity is bad,
animals are bad.
What was your sense of how this worked in a zombie sense?
I didn't want to have to like think about the rules or like get bought. And I also saw people talking online like, oh, it's got some interesting stuff it does with like possession, like because of the way the rules and the way it works. And I was like, nothing was like that interesting really. Like it just kind of sounded like a curse that people had to like watch out for.
Exactly. And it's weird. I do think there's some inconsistencies in terms of, who can touch who without getting infected.
Well, listen, this isn't Cinema Sins.
I know. Oh no, yeah, this is getting to real Cinema Sins territory. Maybe, I'll try to re-steer my discussion towards the film itself.
No, it's okay. I know what you mean but the thing is like,
if this is what it's trying to provide to us and provide the entertainment, like we need then it's offering itself up for that type of criticism. I think in some ways,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the movie itself talks about the rules.
Yeah.
Like if it didn't want us to like focus too much on that, they shouldn't have as much like exposition about the rules and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I will say, like, it starts like really fast. Like it's a fast paced movie at the beginning, and it's quite interesting and engaging and involved. It cannot maintain that momentum for a while, and then it sags a bit in the middle.
For sure.
And there were some like gruesome, gory scenes, but nothing I found really disturbing. Like I wonder what that guy on Instagram, what aspect of it disturbed him. Like there was a scene at one point in the movie where, no spoilers, but a woman is walking down the street. And
yes, spoilers.
Well, no, because I'm not getting into specifics. I was gonna say she's eating something questionable,
Right.
like it's a Pringles can.
Yeah.
And that was funny to me,
Yeah.
like I
That was a delightful idea in terms of the world of gross outs. I think so. Yeah, I would agree there. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like I'm gonna lose sleep tonight over that. Like it kind of made me laugh a bit.
For sure.
It's gruesome for sure, but in an over the top way.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
there's definitely some chuckles we had about some some scares and some gross outs that they put in there. So I applaud them for that for sure.
Yeah, because the movie takes itself like quite seriously.
It is. It's like not a fun tone. It's also the central character has a suicidal past, I guess, and is dealing with depression and possibly having harmed his family previously, or potentially harmed them. So, which is a theme that's not like fully explored. I feel like it doesn't really pay off.
No.
Other than him getting back his kids temporarily, even though he's also putting them at harm again. So,
yeah,
I'm not sure how you felt about that aspect.
I like you said, it's like this movie, it wanted to be like super depressing and affecting, and it just wasn't. Maybe the mood of our Halloween marathons is too jovial, kind of, we're snacking, we're cracking wise occasionally.
It might have been a different experience at a midnight screening.
A Midnight Madness at TIFF, like
exactly,
maybe,
yeah. In a theater where you're locked in, but yeah, I don't know. It's not one that I'm gonna, come back to, think about really.
Probably not, no.
And I think it really relies on like zombie tropes that we've dealt with many times before. The one thing I'd say that's going forward is the way, maybe some of the makeup and gross out stuff that they include, but otherwise pretty standard in my books.
I'm with you. Let's get into the ratings, but first let's check in with Ben T and the Ben T report.
Ben T.
Ben, what did you think of the bottom half of this year's movies?
Hey, I like Hellbound Hellraiser 2 a lot. I've only seen it the one time. It would have been in 2017, but I remember enjoying it quite a lot. I think I probably prefer it maybe even to the original one, but I've seen the original one more times. Hellraiser 3 is really funny too. I remember seeing that. I've only seen it once. It was on like it was a full screen DVD, projected at in the back of iSource Cinema. One of friend of the pod, past and future guest, Joel Edmiston's comedy and movie nights there. And it's a very fun movie to watch with a crowd. But I didn't watch it again for the podcast. I'm sorry, was not able to. And I also did not watch When Evil Lurks, which I very much would like to. I think it's the same guy who directed Terrified, which is a movie I also really want to watch but haven't seen. Geez, I feel like I'm really letting everybody down. But you know what? I've got some other recommendations here. Let's see here. One of which is Ticks, which is a movie I kind of liked it. It's not great or anything, but it's directed by Tony Randall, who made Hellraiser 2. So I could definitely recommend that. I sort of had my own little Halloween movie marathon. Let me see here. Just Before Dawn from 1981, one of these kind of one of the early slashers that it has a really great like atmosphere and is really well shot and very creepy, especially it's just very like weird ending. I watched The Entity from 1982, which I found extremely disturbing, and I had to take a break while watching it. Just not in the right headspace. It's just like very like brutal movie that I would recommend, but with like a lot of content warnings, trigger warnings for sexual assault, because it's a very intense and like mean-spirited, like literally mean-spirited movie. What else did I watch? Frankenstein Created Woman is like a Hammer horror film from the late 60s, which is really fun. I love watching those like Hammer movies. I watched another one with my folks recently, Never Take Sweets from a Stranger from 1960, which was insane. Like, it's like Hammer's icons like Dracula and like Frankenstein and the Mummy and whatever. They're no match for the new monster in this film, an elderly Canadian pedophile. It's like a pretty early movie to like deal with these themes. It's, I'm sure, very controversial at the time, and it's all really disturbing and creepy, and also more trigger warnings, content warnings, and I watched two kind of like hour-long things. These are probably I watched these on Halloween. They're probably the most interesting things I would have watched. Let me see. A Self-Induced Hallucination, just like a 2018 documentary, Slenderman documentary, by Jane Schobrun, who made We're All Going to the World's Fair. And yeah, it's really, really good. It's I would definitely recommend that to any fans of We're All Going to the World's Fair. I'd also recommend that movie if you haven't seen it. It's like one of my favorite movies from the last couple of years. And this feels like a really good companion to that, and kind of like precursor to that sort of like that film's structure, but also ideas, right? The Timekeepers of Eternity from 2021, an hour-long like re-edit of the 90s Stephen King TV movie, The Langoliers, which I have actually seen. I don't know why I have seen it, but it's bad. Like, it's 3 hours long, and it's like, it's pretty bad. It just takes a long time to get where it's going. It's not just this. Sorry, I'm not selling this right. It's not just some re-edit. It's like, each frame is like printed out on a like sheet of paper, and it's edited, like animated, like paper animation, like with all sorts of distortions and things like that throughout, and it's just really like fascinating, like visually obviously, but it's so cool to because like I said, Langoliers sucks, right? But there's so much interesting stuff about it, and one of the things in particular that's like really, really unique and like worth saving and worth kind of re-editing and recontextualizing into something else is Bronson Pinchot's performance as what's his face, Craig Toomey, who's sort of the antagonist of the book, I guess, but also the hero at the end of the day, sort of, and is anyway, he's just, it's like really like broad performance, and but I always found it really, like when I watched him when I was a kid, I guess I found it really compelling. I was like, there's just something so like strange about this guy, so like he's just so like pent up, like and I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I think that's one sort of element of this. It's like, it's taken, not only has it taken pretty much all the good stuff like in 1 hour, condensed it for 3 hours, but it's also a really great sort of home for this performance. Like you don't have to like watch the 3-hour-long TV movie when you could watch this like much more like artfully edited and interesting and probing like film. Anyway, I don't know, whatever. Watch all these movies.
Great stuff, Ben.
Wow.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I can feel Ben's judgment from here, even though he's he's in the future. But
Yeah.
Also the listeners. So yeah, we know.
Ben is with us always.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely, in our hearts.
How many spooky nighttime students out of 5 would you give this movie?
Spooky nighttime students.
Like in a classroom of 5 students,
Right.
eerily in their homeroom at night. How many out of 5?
I'll give it the 1, maybe. Yeah, because you can't split a children in twain. I would say 1. Yeah.
1 out of 5?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would give it 3,
Mm.
just because like I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine.
I'll give it 2. Okay. Yeah. You're convincing me. This is like it's not something that I would like. It's not something that I actively dislike. It's not something that
No,
it's not. It went for something, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say it like
it didn't.
it totally achieved what it was going for, but I'd say it tried. So yeah, I'll give it 2. Yeah.
It didn't pain me to watch it,
Mm.
and it did give me some laughs.
Yeah.
And some, oh, okay, neat.
Yeah. There's
Um,
also an element with a autistic child who is one
Yeah.
of the children of the main character, and yeah, I'm not sure how I felt about that, but yeah, that kind of brought it down a little bit for me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Where they were using vocal tics as like a means of achieving tension in one scene, and it's just like, oh, I don't know.
It was deftly and respectfully done. It was one of the most. Nah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was
It was in the movie.
It was a choice for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this movie is worse than 3. I don't know. Maybe like 2.5 or something.
You're feeling generous today. I like it. Yeah.
Well, I think I've lightened up a bit with
Yeah.
my ratings in general. Like if I had a good time, I had
Yeah.
a good time like sitting here watching it with you. You know what I mean?
I don't regret watching it.
I wasn't like, oh my god, when is this over? But I preferred the other movies like way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you rank the movies we watched today? I have a feeling our lists are going to be extremely different.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's only 4 movies, but
Yeah.
we'll find out.
Can't even do a top 5.
Mm,
This is a top 4.
yeah, I would say number 1, Freaks for
Yeah.
sure. That's the reason this is a classic. It's pretty remarkable that it exists in the first place, and it's awesome that it's been preserved even in its shortened version that we got. And yeah, just an overall enjoyable watch with some shocks and some modern touches that we didn't expect. So for sure,
Totally.
number 1. Number 2, Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think where I'm going from here. Number 3 would be when evil
lurks.
when evil
What
lurks.
time is evil lurking?
Our Resident Evil,
And
we called it, or where the home of evil, potentially.
Yeah.
And then of course Valerie.
You
yeah,
can't
4th.
like rate that one.
No,
So yeah.
yeah.
I think I have this same list as you, but I would put Valerie at the top.
At the top
Yeah.
of these movies.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm hellbound, dude. I'm hellbound for Hellraiser 2. What can I say?
I'm trying not to roast you right now, but okay.
Listen, the show will be imminently shut down. They're knocking at our door right now.
Oh my god.
They're coming for us.
This was the trick. This was
Got you.
Yeah. But there were other treats, so it was good.
Yeah. Well, that's another Halloween marathon in the books.
Wow.
Hell
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this again next year.
Probably will.
I'm gonna take a closer look at the films that you're sending me via text next time. But
Sure.
we had fun and we learned, and we had a spooky time together.
Always do. A spooky, sexy time.
Spooky, sexy time.
Because last time we watched Blood for Dracula, right?
Yeah.
With Udo Kier
That was great.
as Dracula, just trying to find sexy virgins to eat. And he goes to like, where does he go to New York, or am I making that part up? But he goes somewhere where he's like, it's very hard to find virgins.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Wait, doesn't he go to London? Cause
Maybe that's what it is. I forget. He just goes to the city.
Yeah.
Just goes to the city.
Yeah. That's a classic for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry Sunday's episode was a bit delayed. Hope this juicy bonus episode makes up for it. And hopefully the next time you hear us, everyone will be present, safe and sound. We're going to get into the Hunger Games.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. First movie on the thumbnail, at least.
And thank you to Ben for letting me temporarily take his place today. So
You did
appreciate
great.
it. Yeah.
You did great.
Okay.
It was a fun time.
All right.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Ooh.
Bonus. 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 Bonus.